Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Open Office Hours. I'm looking at so funny. I'm like, I don't know if everyone sees this, but there's like, oh, there we go. It's updated now. I was like,
sorry.
This is confusing. If you haven't been to Open Office Hours before, we've got two Hanas. Anyways, so welcome. Happy Friday. I hope you all are having a great start to your day. Looking forward to the weekend. We're so happy to have you here. I will let everyone introduce themselves. So go ahead.
Hey, everybody. It's Tatiana. Nice to see you guys again. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brandy. Nice to see you guys.
Hey, everybody. It's Hannah. Happy Friday.
I'm Andy. Happy Friday to everybody as well.
Yes, and we're very happy to have Andy with us again today. I'm Crystal, if I didn't say that at the beginning. I was out of sorts. I was like messaging everyone that I was waiting for the cuckoo clock to stop before I turned on my, it's like inopportune time. Anyways, welcome. So we've got some exciting stuff today. We're going to do definitely our normal Q&A, and I see we've already got some Q&A flowing in. I see Alex is ready and has some questions this morning, which is awesome. So glad that you're here. So we will follow a normal Q&A, but we do want to start with, again, we have Andy here, which is phenomenal. And if you joined us last week, not only is he helping answer some questions around the new features that we're going to be releasing, but also some really, really insightful business style questions as well. How to grow your MSP? What next moves do you make? If you have any of those questions that you're just like, the possibilities are endless, let's maybe throw those in the Q&A as well and leverage Andy's knowledge and experience in the industry. So first, I would like to kick it on over to Andy. We sent out an email, I think on Wednesday, and some notifications around our Mac agent. And so I thought it would be great if he could give us some details around that.
Yeah, sure. As Crystal said, we sent out videos on social media and email, so I'm sure most of you folks have already seen that. I'm just going to run down through a couple highlights for those that haven't. We have a new, we're calling it a V2 Mac agent. It rolled out as an open beta a couple days ago. So everybody should be able to go into their list of downloads and see that now. When you go to download it, right next to that's going to be an FAQ link. And that will be all sorts of things from permissions to feature matrices of what it supports and what it doesn't. We are always going to be targeting the 3 newest versions of Mac OS, and that includes Big Sur. We're also going to be supporting the M1 processor as well. That's supported today. And we also have the ability to do silent installations if folks wanted to push this through their MDM like Adigy or something like that. We are looking to make it on par with the Windows agent, barring obvious Windows specific things like Windows updates, an event viewer and things like that. Tray icons also fully supported. That includes agent contact forms as well as Syncro chat. We are also adding some UI mechanics around Mac within the web. Some of that's available now, some of it's still coming. Stuff like when you go to run a script on a Mac agent, it's just going to filter it to bash scripts and vice versa for Windows. We are also going to be adding some filters to policies. So you can just be like, hey, show me all the stuff that applies to Windows or all the stuff that applies to Mac. That's not there today. That'll be a little bit just because we're rolling that into the new policy inheritance stuff we're working on. For remote access, we will be supporting TeamViewer and Screen Connect. I believe TeamViewer works today. Screen Connect we're still working on, so you can still install that manually, and it will still get picked up within the Syncro web UI. And then as far as AV, we're supporting Bitdefender and WebRoot. Both of those should be working today. And then there's a couple things that are coming later. We expect this open beta to last probably like 2 months if I had to guess. If things go really, really well, which they seem to be, it could be a little sooner, it could be a little later, you never know. But we are going to be adding Syncro backups to it, and we are also going to be adding Splashtop support, and that's the new version of Splashtop that we're going to be rolling out for all users, hopefully so you can replace your existing paid third-party remote access. So that'll be supported both in Windows and Mac once the Mac agent hits full release. So I think that's end-to-end. If you guys have any Mac-specific questions, just feel free to ask in the Q&A.
Andy, someone does have a question about if they have the previous Mac beta agent installed, will it update automatically?
Yeah, so for anyone that's using Mac, we'll call it V1. As part of the beta, we're not going to automatically update this for you. But if there's a script in the FAQ that you can use if you want to mass update your V1s, or if you just manually install V2 over top of V1, it will basically override it, get rid of V1, and it now becomes a V2. Once this hits full release and it moves out of open beta, we'll be automatically upgrading everybody's V1. So V1 will be deprecated and won't exist anymore at that point.
Awesome. Thank you. And yes, if there is any other Mac agent questions, please just drop those into the Q&A. I think we're going to try to work through, we've got several in the Q&A right now. So whoever wants to jump in, let's start tackling those.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, time clock, weekly log for technicians' worked hours, also if possible to be auto emailed. So I'm just going to share my screen here. And so we have a couple of reports with the, let's see, time clock specific report for if your technicians are utilizing the time clock. That is not something that you can schedule at this time, but you can come in here to the time clock reporting and pick the period that you're looking for, or even from date to date. We also have, if you're looking for, where did I put it? Right here, under employees, that there is a ticket time by technician. So if it's not necessarily utilizing the time clock per se, but you wanted to see all of the time that they logged onto tickets specifically, that we also have a tech hours report. So hopefully that helps. Correct me if I'm wrong, team, time clock active on clock technician's view. Alex, not 100% sure what you're looking for there. For each of your technicians, they would be able to see the time that they entered here for their own clocking in and out. And so hopefully maybe that's what you are looking for. And then let's see, custom ticket template depending on the customer assigned to the ticket. And so I'm not sure which ticket template you're referring to. If you're referring to ticket workflows, so for your technicians, what type of information that you'd like to be entered for a specific customer, you can't attach these to specific clients. However, you can come in here and create your own. So if we take a look at a specific workflow, this is our default one, that you can come in here and say what type of information that you'd like for your technicians to enter when they're entering a specific ticket. Otherwise, under ticket templates, we do have, or I'm sorry, under PDF and email templates, we do have a ticket template here that you could edit. And I think that is good. Maybe I have one more. Oh, ticket column assignment group if possible. And so if I go to the tickets module here, that under customize, there is going to be a tech option for you there that you could add in.
Awesome, awesome. I'm up next. I have a question here from Alex. Is modification possible to the ticket dashboard? So I'm going to share my screen. I will show you, not a lot of people see this setting, but it is built in and it is useful. I sometimes see you guys posting this on a separate screen just to see the ticket dashboard. So if you head over to your ticketing section and then you click view and open ticket dashboard, this is what it's going to look like. It'll give you your kind of the most important metrics right up here. You'll have some of your RMM alert triggers right here. You can click into those, they'll open in new tabs for you, but you can customize this with the colors that are available here based on the ticket statuses. And then you can set hours until red, yellow, warnings, different things like that. So that would be the ticket dashboard that you can customize. Of course, with Syncro, we do have an open REST API, and I've seen people send me screenshots of what their Syncro looks like on the inside, and all the colors are changed and rearranged and things like that. So definitely available if you wanted to use the API for that. So next question I have here is a question about a deeper look or advanced features in the ticket worksheet. So I love this one. Again, we have the queue filling up pretty quickly, and I did do a deep dive on this. It's been a couple months now, but I'll show the quick basics in like 30 seconds if I can. So here in the admin section, if you scroll down just a bit, this is if you go under the tickets, I opened a couple tabs here, worksheets, as well as your ticket custom field. So worksheets is, I'll show you what they look like when you build them out on a on a ticket is you attach them right here. This is something you build yourself. This is mine right here is being used as an active checklist. You can, check the boxes, see who clicked the box, when they clicked it. If they unclicked it, you can ask them why. Percentage to completion. Sometimes people use these hand in hand with our project module through Syncro as well. The biggest thing here too is you can attach your worksheet to a custom field, and that just opens the door wide open for more customization and more pre-filling of these worksheets. So again, you build these out in the worksheet templates right here. In the admin section, there's a bunch of settings that you can read through right here. And then again, you can attach your worksheets to custom ticket types. I'm not going to dive into that. I'll drop the link into the chat box for you. But the biggest thing too is if you attach a worksheet to a custom field, for example, you can now pull in that custom field to your automated remediation. You can say, if this super important thing happens, I need Syncro to run a script, clear alert, convert into a ticket, and I want the tech to know what exact next set of steps that I want them to follow by attaching that worksheet. So again, super easy use case scenario for maybe new hires or just to keep consistency across how you guys handle your tickets is using the worksheets for that, like onboarding a new employee in a specific way for your customer. The list goes on and on, but I'll stop there and I'll drop the link for you guys. If you have any additional questions, please drop them into the chat.
Awesome, thanks. I'll grab a few here. So Brianna is asking, when creating an invoice, the due date defaults to the date of invoice creation. Is there a way to change the default setting? Sometimes I forget that happens and send out invoices that are already overdue. So there isn't a way to set a default setting. It will actually be that without manually changing it, but we can pass that along as a request. And then Heidi's asking, is there any idea on how we can track hardware as a service? Should we use products and services or use tags in the assets? We lease or provide hardware as a service to some of our customers and looking for a way to better track this, especially when it comes time to do end of year reporting for our accountant for property owned by our company. So I really like that. And what I would recommend utilizing is actually just using like a saved asset search in a custom field. So for an asset, I mean, you could use products and services. I think this is going to be more efficient for you. So if you have a device here, I could create like a custom field that, and maybe you just want to make it a checkbox if you're only providing like one type, or you could make it a drop down if you're going to be providing multiple types of hardware as a service. And then you can use those custom fields to generate, if you go into assets in RMM out to the left where that magnifying glass is, you can create a search for assets with that particular custom field, either text field, drop down, or checkbox. And so that way, end of the year rolls around and hey, let's find all of my devices that have this particular hardware as a service. You can click on that and you'd see a list of your assets. So that's probably what I would recommend doing unless anyone else has a better idea. I usually use saved asset searches for a lot of types of workarounds here. And then I'll go ahead and grab a couple others. So Kevin's asking, how do we set our own ticket categories or ticket types? Great question. Let me just share that real quick. So if you pop over into the admin section and you go down to the tickets, let me just go into tickets here. I think I passed it, preferences. So here you're going to see your different issue types if you'd like to do that. You can also go into additional settings here and you can set up some different statuses. Please note that some are hard coded because they trigger certain things in the back end. So that's where you would set those. And then of course in here too, you can set up your ticket custom fields if you have any here. And then I think I had one more question. As far as scripting, in order to see like the output, there really isn't like a report that's going to show you all of that for across like all of a customer's devices right now. You would need to go into an individual asset to see all of those currently. I'm going to just double check on to see if there's any type of scripting thing added into the executive summary report, but I did check that asset activity audit because I thought that's where it was and don't see that. So I'll get back with you on there.
Awesome. Thanks, Brandy. I'm going to flow through a few of these. Thank you for all of the awesome questions. They're like flowing through into this Q&A, which is wonderful. Okay. Let me just show you really quickly. Saved search to filter out a specific customer and show tickets for all others. This is required for project management. So right now, I think that would actually be a feature request to be able to maybe like does not include a certain customer in these saved ticket searches. I mean, if the technician has that actually assigned to them, they can look at only ones that are assigned to them. But at this point, this is where you would go and create a saved ticket search, but it does not include, like, does not contain certain customer at this point. Okay, then I was going to grab modifying auto-generated monthly reports for customers and sending only after review. So you can create reports, especially like our new executive summary report. You can create them, you can create favorites, but there's not like a holding pattern. So you can either schedule them to go out to all of your customers, and maybe you could just check them the day before that they're scheduled to go out, but there's not like an approval scenario with reports at this point. Okay, I have a few other ones that I was going to grab. Kevin asks, under appointment bookings, which calendar does it use? So it kind of depends. Let me just show you. You have business hours settings, so you can set your calendar here. But also we have a two-way sync integration with both Office 365 calendar and Google Calendar. So depending on when you're in a ticket or creating appointment, it's probably going to use this unless you have any other integration set up. And then it's also going to use this if you use like the booking widget on your website as well. I think I maybe grabbed one more, maybe not. Okay, cool. I did not grab any more. I'm done.
I've got one from Richard asking how we're going to handle moving to ZEH and I think he means ZSH and not supporting Bash. Mac still supports Bash. Whenever that fully gets taken away, I'm sure that we'll move over, but that is going to be fully supported still here for a while. Daniel is asking in Mac V2, do we have to add Syncro app service on? Okay, no. He's basically asking if you had to do all the wonky stuff that V1 made you do, and the answer is no. Like, we rewrote this from scratch to ensure that you don't have to like add this service to start up or only going to start if the machine logs in and all that kind of stuff. It works just like the Windows agent. You'll be able to interact with it even if the user's not logged in. You don't have to do anything other than just simply install it. Chris is saying he's new to Syncro. He's just getting up and running, and he's curious about best practices around ticket ingestion, meaning what do people usually use, like customer portals, or how do they typically train their customers to send tickets? That's a really good question. And I would say that the best practice is just to make sure that you never let them call you, because those calls are always live and they really jack your day up if you're in the middle of 20 other things. And once you let a customer do that, it's almost impossible to train them out of that. Text messaging is the same way. And if you can, never give them your cell phone number, because you'll be getting calls at midnight, and all these other crazy things. But really, I would look at each individual customer. For instance, if you have an office that's full of people 50 plus, for instance, they might be less tech savvy, not to be stereotypical, but that seems to be the case, than an office full of young 20-year-olds. So in that case, it probably is better just to do basic email support or something like that, where the younger folks, they could use like the agent contact forms. That seems to go pretty good, which is something you can attach to the system tray icon. You can have a link to the customer portal there as well. But it's usually like younger folks like the cooler stuff, which would be the contact forms and chat and things like that. And then older folks tend to like the more traditional stuff like support tickets. So I would do it very customized to every customer, and you're going to know them better than we would. But like I said, anything that's not a phone call, you're going to be much happier with. I think there's one other one here. Scott's asking about security permissions. He's saying that his techs have full access to everything, but they still don't have access to system checks like ping. I'll have to check on that, Scott. If that's the case, that's just an oversight. So I would just send that to support, and we'll just make sure that that's included for everybody. That shouldn't be behind like it's not like a super liability based thing. So it should be there. So just send that into support and we'll get that taken care of. I think that's it for me.
I have a question right here at the top from Kevin. Is there any way you can customize the web form so I can put the code on my website and get a lead in? Yes, we can. I will show you how. Super easy. If we go over to our admin section and you click on your either custom widgets here or website integrations, both will have this option, but here we have the widgets. I'll show you mine. Yes, we do have a live link that has like our.syncromsp.com in the domain, but if you edit this, I've got it open in a new tab here, and you're building out that form, those steps that you want them to take, and you're deciding in which order you want them to take them, the settings you're adjusting. Here you go, here's the embed code. You can put this right on your website. So that's how you do it.
Sweet. Thank you. A couple questions. I'm going to go ahead and grab some while I'm unmuted. So Daniel is asking, is there a way to have a ticket automatically apply a set of custom fields based on the ticket type? Great question. So what I would recommend there is use your different ticket custom field types, because I can choose, okay, anytime someone chooses virus removal ticket, I'm going to have these particular fields, right? I just made a few on here. So if I go in to create a ticket and I choose this drop down for virus removal, it's going to give me those custom fields. So that's how you would want to set that up. And then let's just see here. Kevin, our import from Autotask failed. Should we log a ticket? Yes, log a ticket. And if it's an urgent issue, just make sure you put urgent in that ticket. And then you can run the Autotask importer more than once. It will dedupe as long as nothing has changed. Like if you added a different phone number or changed the spelling of the name, it would create a duplicate. Otherwise, you should be absolutely fine. And I thought I had one more in here. So, Kevin is asking, can we set up the Bitdefender integration during trial? Took a look and message suggested maybe not. There's two parts to that. You can set up a trial of Bitdefender while you're in your Syncro trial by going to the App Center. We allow for, I believe it's 25 endpoints to test Gravity Zone. If you have an existing Bitdefender account, you're not able to set that up during your trial just because we don't have a way to bill you for your endpoint. So if you do want to utilize that, I would suggest upgrading the account so you can take full advantage and make sure that your devices aren't left without AV during that time period.
Richard's asking another Mac question. He's asking specifically what versions are supported. We're always going to aim to support the most recent 3 like Apple does. You're going to really test my knowledge of Mac because it's not super good, but I think 10.14 is Mojave, 10.15 is Catalina, and I think 11 is Big Sur. Those are the 3 that we're supporting now. A different Richard is asking if we have any plans to include UNC file paths in Syncro backup service. So it's possible that's going to come in the future. Right now, it's designed to back up assets specifically. It's not designed to back up NAS devices. If you had like a file server, you can throw this right on the file server and back up shared stuff directly that way. But as far as like Synology or QNAP or something like that, that's not going to be supported. But again, it could be in the future. We are adding a lot of improvements to backups as we speak. Rob is saying they have installed the new Mac agent on Catalina and Big Sur, and they're seeing different tabs on each. That sounds like a bug, Rob. So I would send those asset URLs to support, and anything Mac related is just flowing right into those developers now. So that should get fixed pretty quick. Kevin says, not a question, but he just wants to say the Syncro MSP scripting engine is so good. That's right. It is so good. That is pretty awesome. Richard's saying that Apple has a file vault encryption which can be enabled. If that's enabled, how will backups work? So this is the same thing if you're using whatever it is on Windows, BitLocker, EFS encryption, I think it is. So long as you have those keys, you can back up and restore that data. Where it gets a little tricky is that I've seen quite a few people for some reason enable encryption and not back up their keys. So like if that asset dies, Windows or Mac, and you go to restore the files, they're effectively worthless at that point if you can't restore it to the same machine. So there is warnings that fire for Windows today, and it will fire for Mac as well if this is the case, letting you know that, hey, this stuff got backed up, but it's like encrypted. So if you don't have the keys, you won't be able to restore them. Rob's asking, he says he installed Mac and he's seeing 2 agents, one for Syncro MSP and one for Syncro agent. It should only be one. So my guess is that you probably had the V1 there. If that's the case, I would send that into support along with the URL, because my guess is for whatever reason, it didn't override V1 properly. If that's not the case, just ask another question because I might be misunderstanding. Andrew's asking if there's a timeline to incorporate configurable notifications for agent offline alerts. Sounds like you just want to change like the body and possibly even the subject. That's of the alerts when they come in. That's something that we get asked quite frequently. That is probably something we're going to do eventually, but with all the other big stuff we're working on right now, that one might be a little ways away, but it is on the radar. Rob is asking if there's any chance to implement Sophos as an antivirus solution. So honestly, there's a chance that we could implement anything. I would just love to implement every single AV solution if we had the resources to do that. But that would be one that is asked quite frequently. So I can't really give a timeline on that one other than you're not the first to ask. I think that's all of them for me.
Thank you so much, Andy, for going through all of those. That was awesome. Kyle just has a note for everybody. Ticket ingestion, tier 2 tickets, and Inversoft and Cloud Radio are worth a look. And so thank you, Kyle, so much for sharing. I will just share my screen there. So just to remind everybody that there are new integrations being added all the time here in the App Center. So go ahead and check out these just when you have the time. And then we just did a recent webinar with Cloud Radio. I'll go ahead and drop the recording of that. Crystal just did an awesome webinar for all the options you have through Cloud Radio, and then having that just really easily integrate with Syncro.
Awesome. I have a quick update here from Scott. He's just letting us know that if you're using the web forms, it will always create a ticket and never only a lead. So just keep an eye out for that. Sounds like this is a feature request that's been that he's submitted. So again, if you're using the mailboxes, you can choose like only create a ticket if it's a current customer. If it's a new customer, leave it as a lead. And it sounds like for the web form, it will always create a ticket and not just a lead. So just keep an eye out for that. I think Kevin was the one that originally asked that. And then I have another question in here I'll just grab real quick while I'm unmuted is from Jason. When adding items to an invoice, how can we select from a category easily? I have the category tabs enabled, but they do not show in the invoicing screen. Also searching the category name doesn't work. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show a couple things. Let me know if I'm completely missing this, because I was originally going to show how on recurring invoices, you can pull in tickets based off of ticket status, but I think you're actually asking something different, which I'll show you in just a second. So while that's loading, let me know, are these the category tabs that you're asking about? Since it's listed right here on a product per product basis, please let me know so that I can get a little bit more clarity with your question, and I'll come back to it.
Awesome. Thank you, Tatiana. Couple questions in here. So Alex is asking, will the Splashtop move allow remote supporting doctors and nurses that are on iPads and Android tablets? Not to my knowledge, we don't have anything for like iPads and mobile devices. And I don't know that that's on the roadmap at the time. I do want to just share, I got an email from one of you. So Ricky, thanks for joining us today. I want to go ahead and share. He says that my setup looks a little bit different than his in terms of the tabs. So if you head into your admin section, and that should be on the More tab. If you go over to tabs customization, you're actually going to be able to choose what shows up here, so you can get 8 across there as well, and you can reorder these too. So I apologize about that, and thanks for bringing that to my attention. You guys can shoot us an email during here if you'd like to. Also, Rob is asking when sub policies or nested policies is coming. So in our recent announcement last week, we mentioned that policy inheritance is coming. So essentially, I won't go into the details with that, but just what's in the email, I believe that's going to be in the next few weeks, probably a little bit after the April 30th timeframe, but no particular ETA on that, just coming soon. Andrew is asking, can I use automated remediation to catch the offline alert and send a text out so someone's phone bings? So I'm just going to spend a couple minutes or a couple seconds here in the automation. So if we go into assets in RMM here, and then we go to actions and automated remediations. And I think someone asked earlier about like subjects too, so I can talk about that. But you can set up the automated remediations in here. I could say, okay, the trigger category is the agent's offline, and you can even further define it here. You know, if it's a certain type of device, of course, or certain customer, then I can go ahead and send a manual SMS message. So if you like to do that, you can absolutely do so. You know, aside from this too, I could be you know, depending on what kind of alert it is, I could convert this into a ticket. I can run a script. We have an awesome scripting engine. Someone mentioned that too. I could clear the alert. I could email the customer, and this would be an area where you are able to customize the subject as well. So you've got a lot of different template tags down here you can utilize. We want to make this set it and forget it really, really easy for you guys. You know, just a streamlined process. So that's the advantage of having your ticketing system and your RMM in one. You can customize a ton of the alerts here. So hopefully that helps.
Awesome. I think that's me. I'm going to go real quick. Richard, you're in luck. You've got Andy sitting right here, so I'm going to read this one out loud. Is there a way to see a history of CPU memory usage over a time period? When we had in Central, we could look at this, like the trends. So do you want to start? I'm just going to say that right now that's a feature request, but if Andy has any input on that, if there's, okay, so right now that that is a feature request. Obviously, you know, if you have tickets being created based upon any alerts, you can kind of pull some trends based upon ticket history and that sort of thing. Obviously, the other part of that is that alerts track on the actual asset as well. So if you want to go to the monitoring section of the individual asset and take a look at alerts that are coming through, you can see it that way as well. But we hear you. We've heard that one before, so we're going to pass that along. And I think that's really the only other one that I grabbed for now. So go ahead.
So whoever was asking about policy inheritance, you all get to be a special member of Andy's Leak Club. Just don't talk about it. Don't get me in trouble, because then I'm not going to do this stuff anymore. I know this is being recorded, but let's just pretend that's not the case. So I'll just show this off really quick. This is super rough because this is all my test stuff, but you're going to see a new tab in your customer section. This is where we're going to manage policies from now. You'll create policies mostly the same way, but this is where you'll manage them from. You're going to see like a tree structure down here. So training customers, the name of the customer, that's always going to be there by default. And then you can add folders underneath that. So theoretically here, let me get rid of this one. I've got two different offices that I'm managing. And at every level of this, you can apply policies to it. Now, just disregard my policy names. I was just testing, but you can have like your core policy set at your customer level, which would be all your checks, everything you want to do for every asset under this customer. You might want to have specific scripts or something that you need to run based on a specific office. So you can have, I'll call it a micro policy. It's still like a full policy, but you might just have one thing turned on or a couple scripts as part of that policy. So then you can add it here. And what'll happen is everything above it will get aggregated with all of the policies that flow below it to make one what we're calling effective policy. So if I break up this, you can go even further and say, okay, well, this is going to be my server policy, and these would be the workstation policies. Whoops, that one's a mess. You can even go and say, okay, anything I dump into this folder is going to have backups enabled by default. That's the level of granularity here. You're going to be able to do 5 folders deep, 5 subfolders deep. And you can also easily just drag an asset, whoops. Oh, I forgot we added these new drag icons, to any other folder. And it will automatically, once you save it, just have the new policies applied. You can even assign policies to the asset itself. So if you want the one specific asset, you have a one-off that needs to not do something or do something extra, you can set that up as well. So anything that you can envision with policies and aggregating policies and inheritance nesting, however you want to call it, it's all going to be supported here. It's super cool. I'm super excited. Probably like another month, or I should probably say 6 weeks just to be sure away. But this is going to be a pretty big one once that lands. Again, don't tell anybody you saw this. And blame one of the girls then, maybe, if you call it.
I was just going to say, it used to be Spill the Beans with Brandy, and now it's Spill the Beans with Andy. So thank you for taking that name from me.
Okay, we are gonna have like so many more people attended if you keep just dropping these little like previews and little knowledge bombs all over our open office hours. That was amazing. Thank you. I guess I'll go next. I think I have to follow up over here at the top. I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? This is way too exciting. Okay, I'm gonna grab my question from Jason. I think this might be a feature request. Jason, I'm curious to hear your process. You said when adding items to an invoice, how can we select from a category easily? I have category tabs enabled, but they do not show on the invoicing screen. Also searching for category name doesn't work. I'm curious why category is more important. Is it for like ease of use when you're creating manual items on an invoice? So what he's referring to is here in our products and services section. We do have a category section here. If you select labor, that is what is going to pop up on your tickets. And these are the tabs that you can enable based on the category as well. That's over in the admin section under inventory preferences. But usually what I see is if MSPs are tracking time on a ticket, or if you have on your recurring invoices, like all of your monthly MSP fee, your per endpoint basis, per backups, like all of those line items are usually already built out, and Syncro is already automating your recurring invoices for you. So I'm curious to hear if you're manually adding line items, if it's like one-off line items. It sounds like you're looking for there to be like a category drop-down menu right here instead of just searching for the product like labor. It would pull all of those related to that, but not by category. So I think that's a feature request. Correct me if I'm wrong though.
Charles is asking if we're going to have any support for Chromebooks, specifically for large schools adopting that platform. Right now, it's not on the radar. If we ever did a Linux agent, it would probably, I don't know, let's just say never, because I've said we're not going to do things before and we do them. So for right now, it's not on the radar. I'll leave it at that. Rob's asking about printing of invoices. Google Print has ended. Is there an alternate solution? Actually, there is. Keep your eye out. We have a thing called Auto Printer, which was mainly used on the repair shopper side. We're doing like a major overhaul to it right now. I think that's coming out in like the next week or so. And it is going to be available to Syncro users. And you can set up anything to automatically print. So like every time you do a new invoice in Syncro, it can automatically flow down to the printer. It's like a Windows agent and automatically print to whatever printer you want. So yeah, I think that'll solve all your needs there once we have that for you. I think the last one for me is Rob's asking about the sub policy things that I did not show you. And he's asking on recurring billing, if you'll be able to, I think you're asking if you'll be able to bill against those things. So you will. Today you can bill by policy. So it's like policy X, counts 10 assets for this customer and it's going to bill that. That'll change because no one is technically getting a single policy. It's like an aggregation of policies. So you'll be able to take a folder, a subfolder from a specific customer. So if you just want to bill everything under the West Coast office, or get as granular as you want, and then bill however you want. So if you have like multiple different sets of things, like all these machines have AV, third-party patching, backups, you want to charge one price for that folder, you can do that. And then as you move assets from one folder to another, they'll automatically bill accordingly on the next recurring invoice.
Awesome, thank you. Daniel just has a follow-up question. He can't seem to find a way to have the ticket custom fields automatically added based on a mailbox that was used to create the ticket or based on the ticket type. So Daniel, that is a feature request currently. I will share my screen though to show you one thing. From the system tray, you can attach have tickets open to specific issue types as well as custom field types. So here, if I go into one of my agent contact forms, which is having the client open the ticket from the system tray. At the bottom, you can have those tickets open into a specific issue type and then also open into a specific custom field type. So hopefully that helps with your case there. And then Rob has a question, since Syncro Live is sort of going away, how would we use Splashtop to run command line requests as well as being able to end a task? I'm not 100% sure how we would do it with the Splashtop, and maybe Andy could relay some of that, but good news, Syncro Live backgrounding tools are not going away. So you will still be able to have the task manager there. And then I think from what I saw that even the remote desktop option is not going away either. If Andy, you don't mind just confirming that.
Yep, that's true. And so just so everyone knows, Splashtop is really just becoming like the default remote access tool. It has nothing to do with the backgrounding tool. So there's going to be two segregated buttons. There'll be one for backgrounding tools, and you'll be able to directly link into anything that you just saw. And then there'll be another one for remote access, which is just a very basic remote access session, just like Syncro Live was, obviously more performant than Syncro Live, of course.
Thank you so much. I have another question here from Kevin. During our trial, we've created a bit of a mess. Is it easy to wipe, clean, and start again once we know what we're doing? Yes, we do. We have a purge link. I will drop it into the chat box. We are not responsible for you clicking that button and everything disappearing. So please be careful. If you do not want to keep anything, yes, use that purge link. We cannot stop it once initiated. We can't recover anything. So use at your own risk is, I guess, the moral of the story with that one. And then I have a question here from Scott. He says, any updates on when we might see Windows updates changes, specifically being able to deny certain ones? So what I'm going to say is we do have Andy here today, and he'll also be here next Friday and maybe even the Friday after that. So I do not have an update for you today, and I can't confirm or deny that we may or may not have any changes regarding this moving forward, but fingers crossed. We do ask this, we hear this every day, and we ask our devs in creative ways every single day for this. So we are rooting for you, and we hope this is going to be coming soon to Syncro.
Okay. Kevin wants to know, what is the difference between products and parts? Could they be the same? Let me share my screen. There's a very distinct difference between a product and a part within Syncro. So I'm in a ticket here. I figured this might be one way to start. Products are actually, whether they're software, hardware, whatever it is, it's linked to an inventory item. So you have them put into the system so that when you're in a ticket, you can, if you're going to add or view charges, you can quickly like start to type something in, and it's going to be able to pull straight from your products and services and add that to the ticket. A part, on the other hand, is essentially a manual item. So think of a part as something that like a one-off thing that you have to order, or you ran to the store and grabbed this specific cord for your customer and you're adding a line item to a ticket. Or even if it is something that you have to order, you can create part orders from the actual ticket itself like this. You can go part order. So the main difference here is that a part is most of the time like a one-off thing. If you're going to continue to sell it, or even if you sell it one time and you think you might sell it again, I would consider adding it as an inventory item. It's easier to track. The other thing with that is that with products, you can create purchase orders. And if you have QuickBooks Online or Xero, those things sync, whereas a part will not sync. And in fact, like a part order, like when you add a part to an actual ticket, when it's syncing to your accounting system, it actually syncs. There's not like a category attached to it. It just kind of does the total. So those are kind of the main differences. So a part one-off type of thing, you're adding it quickly to the ticket, or you need to create an order because you need to order something one-off. Products, easy to use. It's in your system. They sync to accounting systems as well. So hopefully that helps. The other one I was going to answer while I am unmuted is from Randy. Will there be any updates to TechSuite? Any plans to just roll it into Syncro? I don't know if there are any plans to update TechSuite. It's been around for a long time. It's a solid tool set. It does integrate with Syncro, so you can integrate TechSuite with Syncro. So you can kick off those procedures, and all of those things that run can then feed the output right into the ticket. You can do that today. I don't know if there's any plans to further bring that into Syncro though at this point.
Awesome, thank you. Charles says, am I hearing that Syncro Live is going away? So it's not going away, but our default remote access tool will now be Splashtop. So that will be on or around April 30th. we will still have Syncro Live, and all of the backgrounding tools will be available. Some had requested, everyone requested for Syncro Live to be replaced, and then everyone wanted Syncro Live back. So you will be able to choose which one will be your default, but for the most part, Splashtop, and then you'll have our backgrounding tools. And I think I had one more in here. Oh, Randy was asking just a request for a future open office hours covering the Syncro API. He loves open office hours and all the updates. So that's a great request. Happy to mention that to someone named Andy, you know, if he wants to do that. You don't want us to cover the API. I promise we're not technicians, and you all use the API a lot differently than we know. So we'll pass that along, and maybe we can get someone who does use the API often or has used it to connect other things. We'll get that going. Good idea.
Yeah, and Randy, I don't know if you probably have seen, because I know you do use the API a bit, but we, within the past couple months, I think, added that the Swagger API stuff. So if you go into what says documentation now, you can see every single call that's supported, all the information that needs to get passed back and forth. And you can even put your API key right in there and like test everything out right from there without having to physically integrate it to an app or pass it through Zapier or whatever you're doing.
Andy, there's a couple of questions in here. You might be better suited to answer these just with the Splashtop. So one person's asking about will the implementation be HIPAA compliant? And then another asking what happens for people currently using Splashtop? I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, so remote access doesn't really break HIPAA compliance. In this instance, if you're worried about there being sensitive data at the time you connect, we are going to have a thing where this is in Syncro Live already, and it's going to be the same with Splashtop, where you can obviously access unattended, but you can set assets by policy to require like the end user to say, yes, it's okay to hop on. So yeah, there's not going to be issues with that. Sorry, what was the other one?
The other one, and there's two pretty similar ones. So someone's asking what happens with people who are currently using Splashtop.
Yeah, so the RMM variant, which is what you see, which is what we're going to integrate with, and several other RMMs do the same thing. It's a very special version that isn't a consumer version, so it will install side by side with like the business version or whatever you have right now. So it's not going to prevent you from using your previous installation, especially if you have it enabled for customers today, for them to remotely access their own stuff. However, barring SOS, which is something we're not going to be supporting at launch, there's not much of a reason to keep your existing solution, especially because you can enable this for end users and build them directly through Syncro now. That'll be a feature we're supporting with it. So if they already have it, it's going to work side by side. If you're personally using Splashtop, hopefully you can get rid of it and save some money. I see two other questions here. Will Splashtop be able to transfer more than 100 megabit files? I don't think you're really going to be transferring files over Splashtop. That is a limitation of Syncro Live's like file management solution. However, I don't really recommend, like, it's not really the tool to be transferring around huge files like that. Normally, if you have like a big giant installer or something like that, just get a publicly hosted, you can even do it in Dropbox or OneDrive or something, and then use those links to download stuff. Not only would it be infinitely faster, but that way you don't have to deal with just trying to dump huge files over the network in real time. And the other question is, oh, okay. So this person's asking if an end user is accessing Splashtop and you go to remotely access Splashtop, is there a way that you can boot them, basically boot their connection and take over? And the answer is not really. And I don't, even if I could do that, I'm not sure if that's a good idea, because I bet you'd probably piss some customers off if you're booting them when they're in the middle of doing something. I've seen people do like QuickBooks remotely and stuff to not have to go into the office, so they might get mad. But I don't think there's an option to do that today. I'll look into that, but I don't think there is.
Thank you so much, Andy. Tatiana Manuel enjoyed your response on the Windows updates. He says, are you running for office? That was an awesome answer. So love that. And this is just your 11-minute warning to grab everything from the chat box that you need, because that will be going away.
I appreciate that. I mean, honestly, we root for you guys. It's Brandy, myself, or Hannah, or maybe Crystal in the past that speak to you guys day in and day out. And when you're like please, this would make my life so much easier. Can you please ship this? We're like, absolutely. We will go to the ends of the earth to keep annoying our dev team. And they're awesome. They know it's important and they're working towards it as well. But if we don't know, we're not going to promise anything. And if something's not ready, we're not going to ship it. So that's as straightforward as I could be with that question. Quick next question here from Scott. If we have a ticket come in that isn't given a type and we export invoice line items, the type comes out as software, which is nowhere on our list. Where does this come from and how can we change it? This is a something that I think we're going to be addressing at some point in the future, because I do get this question from time to time. So if we're looking at a ticket, you get your ticket type here, which is you can create any random ticket type that you want. You also have your custom fields built out through Syncro right here on a ticket as well, to where you have like, I always use the virus removal one because it's just the easiest, most straightforward one. And I showed you guys how worksheets attached there as well. But when the easiest way for me to explain the difference between those two is sometimes the wording is a little bit interchangeable. So this is probably where it's pulling from. The easiest way for me to show this is if you go into your tickets, create a saved ticket search, and I'm editing a saved ticket search in here, you'll notice that here I have my ticket type is actually virus removal. So it's that custom field, whereas you also get your, the issue is your random ticket type. So they're kind of a little bit inverse if you're using one or the other. Just try to name them differently so that you're pulling the reports in the way that you want to see that information, if that makes sense. So hopefully that's a little bit more clear to you, and I will pass that feedback along to our team again, because I think it's been a while since I've surfaced that. Charles says, I think Syncro Live is better than Splashtop. Well, thank you, Charles. I definitely, like Brandy said, we were like, okay, we're getting Splashtop, and everybody was like, hold on, but actually, we actually do love Syncro Live, but so can we like please keep it? So yes, you can keep it. All of those super awesome backgrounding tools are still there. Your file transfer, your event log monitoring, or event log searching, and all that stuff is there. And then a quick question from Kevin. I think I missed the answer to any plans to integrate with Passportal. This is interesting. I haven't heard of anything super concrete. Most of our integrations are now being built from other providers to us. So if you check out the App Center, like I think we've added literally, I'm going to say at least 6, but I feel like there's more than that to our App Center that have not been built by us. They have been built by someone else, and they're like, can you please add us to your App Center? And we're like, yes. So Domot site, all of these 6, 7, 8, 9, and Auto Printer is now launching as well. So definitely, if it would be built, it would probably be built from their side, and I don't know of any concrete plans from ours for now.
Awesome. I'm just going to grab this one from Stephen. Since I don't use Syncro invoicing, is there a way I can regularly just update customer balances? So first, I'm very curious why you're not using Syncro invoicing, because honestly, there's not a real simple way to just update balances. Balances are driven from invoices. So you would technically have to like have like an open invoice to update the balance there. So I would be curious, why not use Syncro invoicing? We do make it very easy to automate that billing for your customers. We integrate with payment processors, so you can be sending your invoices automatically debiting either a credit card or ACH even. So we make that super simple, and we do have great integrations with Xero and QuickBooks Online and Desktop. So just throwing that out there. But your direct question, there's not a real quick and easy way to do that.
I think that's me. Let's see. Samuel was just really happy to see us address the Syncro remote desktop issue. So you're welcome on that one. We appreciate the feedback, and we really do take it to heart, as you guys can see with our recent announcements. And then I also saw a question in here about, I think it's from Randy. Yes. So we have clients that would like to see the site associated with the tickets on the invoices so they can track expenses. I am not 100% certain. I want to just confirm I was looking in a ticket just to see like the location, because when I was editing, I went into the admin section to edit the ticket and invoice templates, just to see the different template tags that are in here. So if you go into an invoice and I go to edit this, let me just see, I see a ticket location. I don't know if anyone else knows what the ticket location is referring to. I couldn't find one. But there's a possibility that this one might do it for you. I'll just need to confirm. It was just a thought here. Maybe test that one.
Jason's asking about the Splashtop integration. If they're going to have an option to allow clients to remotely access their work computers from home, yes. The way it's going to work is you will assign, basically you assign contacts to assets. And when that contact goes into the customer portal, they can see whatever assets they have assigned to them. And then like if it was like our little group here, and we'll say that we're all employees and Crystal's the boss, and we assign her rights to see all the assets, if she went in the customer portal, she could see everything. And so it's going to be $5 a contact that integrates with our billing system, so you can automatically have that counted and billed out on your recurring invoices. And it's basically, it's not per asset, it's per contact. So they can, if they have 5 assets that they have access to, it's $5 for all 5. If Crystal can see all the assets, same thing, it's $5 for her and she can see all 5. Or all, how many ever there is, 100, whatever it is. And Samuel's asking if we can expect to see any other backup integration show up in the App Center as other providers set up integrations. It's possible. I mean, we have an open API, so we're seeing more. I mean, we've added so many integrations over the past couple months. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, that's certainly possible. Oh, and there's another one. Scott's asking if there's any update on whether it will support multiple screens, Splashtop, rather than switching from one monitor to another. It won't. So if an end user has like 3 monitors, you'll have a button to switch from monitor to monitor. There's not going to be like a view to see all 3 monitors like within the same view, though.
I have a comment from Kevin. He says, not a question. Just wanted to say I really enjoyed this session. Thanks. You know what, Kevin? We enjoyed having you on this session because you are freaking awesome. I think all of us have answered at least 1 or 2 questions from you. And if you weren't here and all the rest of you guys weren't here, we would also not be here, because like, who would we be talking to? I mean, we talk to each other all the time, but thank you for coming. Thank you for bringing your questions. We're grateful you're here, and we also enjoyed the session.
I love that. Okay. I'm going to grab just a few. This is 3 more minutes. Holy moly, we've gone through a lot of questions. Okay. Richard, if we implement QuickBooks or Xero integration, will it sync everything in Syncro or just information from that point moving forward? So it'll sync all of your customers, and my understanding is it would sync their current balances, is my understanding, but I would like to make sure we confirm that with our technical support team first. And then David wants to know, can I have payments from QuickBooks sync back to Syncro? As of now, I'm using QuickBooks for payments. The QuickBooks online integration does allow for that sync. That is one of the only things with QuickBooks Online that syncs backwards into Syncro. So online, yes. Desktop, no. I'm just going to read this one out loud. I don't know the answer, Stephen, so I'm just going to read it out loud. Anyway, we could get an HTTP redirect, web redirect from Syncro Live, so we can access local network devices web UI without having to boot a client off their computer if I just need to update a printer setting. I don't know of any way to do that.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what you're asking there. I mean, you should be able to hop on local machines too without booting them, because it still goes over HTTP, so I'm not sure. And then one other note, someone just informed me on here, because I've been in this room, that we just released Auto Printer 17 minutes ago. So I think it was Rob was asking about that. Have at it. It's in the App Center now, so you should be able to try that out.
Yay. I love when that happens when we're in open office hours. Usually you guys get to tell us new stuff has come out during. And you guys, we have over 100 questions and comments that were answered today, which is amazing. You all were prepped and ready to go.
Yes, thank you. Like Tatiana mentioned, we would kind of just be hanging out visiting without you all. So thank you. Thank you all so much. And once again, Andy, thank you so much for joining us. This was awesome. This has been recorded. It'll go on YouTube later today if you missed anything or if you want to check previously recorded sessions. But thank you all so much. Happy Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.
Bye.